I've got this cartoon truck loaded up into layout, and I thought what we could do is take a look at putting a nice finish on the base surface of this metallic truck. So what we could do is go and set up our surfaces. We could set some reflection attributes and specularity and diffuse and color, or we could take advantage of one of the material nodes in the node editor. Before we hop in there, I thought what we could do is we could explore the scene for a second just so that you fully understand what's going on in the scene, because that will be affecting the look of the render. So as you can see, I've got the truck model and I've got some kind of ground plane here, but let's go into perspective view so we can really see. So there's the truck, real small right there, and there's that ground plane. You'll see that I've got some flat panels up here, just 9 flat panels that I've made luminous just so that I have something other than the black world to reflect into the truck. So I have the ground to reflect, but if I didn't have these white panels up here, then I wouldn't have anything else reflecting but black, and I might not get the look that I'm after. So this is just a real easy way that you don't really have to have much in the scene, but it'll give the appearance that maybe these are the lights that are lighting up the scene. But what I actually have for lights lighting up the scene is 2 dome lights, just a key light and a fill light so that I can fill in some of the shadow areas on the front of the truck with this light. Okay, I'm going to go back to my camera view, and before we do a render, let's take a look at the render globals. And I want to see that in the renders tab I've got ray trace shadows turned on and I've got ray trace reflections, because I want to pick up the shadows that are going to come from those lights, and I also want to reflect the environment when we start getting to that portion of the attributes for the surface. Also in global illumination, I went ahead and enabled radiosity, and I'm just using the default settings of Final Gatherer with 1 bounce and the default settings here, just so that we can play a little bit with the radiosity in our render to dress it up. And it renders fast, so why not turn it on? So I'm going to go ahead and close that down. And let's start by just doing a render with what we have right now. Okay, so as you can see, we've got this white background, and we've got some speck and glossiness on this surface, but it's not really doing the vehicle justice. I want car paint. I want this to look like, metallic paint. So let's go ahead and dive right into the surface editor. So I'm going to go over to the surface editor. I'm going to pick the correct surface, which is in this case T base. It's the base of the truck. And under Edit Nodes, I'm going to add node and choose Material, Carpaint. Okay. Now with the material nodes, you just plug it right into Material right here, and this is going to override the other attributes on our surface node right there. So I'm also going to just open up that panel. Now right now we're taking up the entire screen. Take a quick look. I've got the Carpaint node plugged into the material input. So the material output to the material input, because I'm going to slide it off screen, so just so you know that's what's going on there, because all we really need to see is what's going on here. Okay. Now the first thing that I'll notice, and actually I am going to slide it a little more just so we can see a little preview right here. First thing that I notice is by default the paint color is red. So if we were doing a sports car or a red truck, then that might work. But I like blue, so I'm going to choose blue. So I am going to start by changing the defaults so that I can at least start with blue, so we get some kind of base that we were going with. But for right now, I'm going to leave all the defaults the same, and let's do a render just so we can see kind of where we're at with the default settings. Okay, so we can start to see we are getting a metallic surface. It's very frosty. And I don't really see the nice lacquer clear coat type shininess of the car, but this is one look that could work, and it's the default look that I'm getting with Carpaint, minus changing the color from red to blue. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, and I've just set a keyframe on my camera so that I've got a closer shot, and let's do a render of that just so we can get a close-up of what's going on, because I see something going on in the Carpaint, but from this distance I'm not really seeing it. So I'm going to do another render, and okay, now we can really see what's going on. There's little metal flakes in the Carpaint, which is going to give us that nice metallic metal car finish. Now what we can do is start adjusting this if we'd like. Now one of the things that we might adjust is we might come back over here and we might say, well, I want to increase the scale of the metal flake. So I'm going to go, you can go as high as you want. I think that would be a little too high. So I'm going to go 0.02. I'm just going to go 20 millimeters on that. And then also the flake distance fall off. Now the farther away it gets, the less anti-aliasing it would have to do. But I'm just going to go ahead and try 3 meters. This is a 2-meter vehicle, so I'm actually going to increase that instead of lower it. Okay, and in my little display here, I can start to see, let me change it back to 1, and we're not really seeing the flakes that much from a distance. I'm going to go 3, and you can see from a distance we're going to be able to see the flakes a little bit more. So I think I'm going to be pretty happy with that. Now we can also, right now you can see there's gaps in the metallic little flakes here. I can increase the flake density. It's set at 50% now. I'm actually going to leave it at 50%, but just so you know what this is all about is that if you wanted to, you could say, well, I want it to be at 85%, and you can see in this little display here that it starts to fill in all those areas, and I think that's a